Address this huge topic of bioprivacy that you were mentioning in your abstract, because it's
exactly, yes. Yeah, that was a part of the. I would have been dealing with it in the longer presentation. Sort of the part I skipped. Bioprivacy is the issue I was referring to when dealing with collecting information about one's physiology, one's biometrical data. And in particular, I mean, sort of Google now starts addressing it by introducing McFit. McFit is sort of a free app by means of which people send data, their own fitness data to Google, which then gets analyzed. The next step would be, and this is sort of I think, which will be incredible relevance in the forthcoming years, the great amount of like giving away our genetic data and having analyzed our genetic data, and this has become cheaper and cheaper in the previous decade. Now, sort of, you have your genes being analyzed for 100 to 500 US dollars, and you get an enormous amount of information on that basis. You get information about how you react to certain drugs, how you react to certain treatments, the likelihood of having specific diseases. It's also being able to find out the ability to concentrate in certain other capacities. So it is in many people's personal interest to have one's genetic data being analyzed, and many people freely give away this information, in particular in the United States, as well as in Iceland and Ireland, in these three countries. For example, in order to have their genes being analyzed concerning their parental heritage. In the US, that's the case. So they find out, so it's like 10% Scandinavian, 90% Italian, or whatever. Anyway, on that basis, more and more data also gets collected concerning the relationship between your genes and between certain capacities and diseases. By it being introduced, so creating big gene data. Again, it could be in your own interest, but also obviously insurance companies and future employers are enormously interested in having this data. And what is particularly problematic about it is possible for them getting hold of this information, not even having access to your tissues. They don't even need your own genetic information to get information about you, because you share that information to a substantial amount with many of your family members. Let's say you and your sister, you don't have a very good relationship. So the insurance company could get hold of the genetic information about you by paying your sister of sending some sample to some tissue sample to them. And again, so another option is also, if you are freely giving away your genetic sample, then this could have an influence on your sister, who might not want her genes to be analyzed in this manner. And would in particular by combining the genetic information with big gene data. Now the combination between digital information and the possibilities related to gene analysis, now they create the hugely incredible important issue of bioprivacy. And because of the great interest of insurance companies and future employers. And it will be, it's hardly being discussed in any sort of public discussion or academic papers. And I think for the forthcoming years, this will be one of the central issues which we will have to address, because of the implications also for our social structure. And this is we're already aware with digital data representing our psychological information, our movements in the world, but now the third realm comes in. Will it the way data concerning our physiology, concerning our genetics, and this will have another enormous impact, which we desperately need to deal with and reflect upon.
Again, legal systems are obsolete in terms, for example, of the owner of your samples, like when you leave your saliva in a glass, this is no longer your property, it can be analyzed, right? So that
yes, it's not your property, but it's actually, it's for, in Germany, well, in Germany, for example, it's forbidden to have it analyzed. But if someone analyzed it, the person doesn't get penalized. It's just a disorderly conduct. So the person, because the information, so the hair sample is no longer yours, but the information stored in that sample is still yours. But in the worst case, they merely have to pay a certain fine. It's not they don't get penalized. But it's different in other countries, particularly in the United States. They are basically all the information. Once you send your hair sample to the United States and have it analyzed in a company there, then the information is actually gone. And this information could be sold from the company to any insurance company, to any future employer. And so another set of highly problematic issue related to it, for example, even nowadays, for example, let's say I'm interested in having my genes analyzed. But I wouldn't do it. At the moment, I wouldn't be willing to do it because of some legal regulations concerning insurance companies. The insurance companies in Germany, they can't force you to having your genes analyzed. But once you've undertaken such a gene analysis and you want to take out a specific insurance which has a high financial risk for the insurance company, you already forced, legally forced to give away the information to the insurance company. And this is now the barrier is still, fairly high, but if it's a legal threat to the company higher than 300,000 euros. But obviously that's a contingent barrier which will gradually be adapted and reduced because of the enormous interest of insurance companies. And so, I mean, it's not an option not thinking about it because of the enormous potentials related to it. And it's an issue we desperately need to address.
I'm one of those people that had his genetics analyzed. So I have some comments on this. Hi, Stefan.
Hi, is it Kevin?
It's Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin.
Okay, I don't see you.
Yeah,
I don't think trying to put
I don't think this microphone's on.
Okay.
Wait.
This one's not on either.
I will move this around.
This one's not on either. This isn't on
It's
either.
not working. Full stop.
Okay, hi.
He's already turned off. So can you hear me yet, Stefan?
I can hear you.
Okay, I'll just not use the microphone. So I'm one of those people that paid to have my genes analyzed. I paid $100 to a company in the United States run by Sergey Brin's wife, ex-wife, called 23andMe. Can you? Okay. Called 23andMe. One of the people that's an advisor or part owner of this is George Church, the famous Harvard geneticist. And so the reason I say this is because at his urging, I elected to make my genetic information usable by that corporation for medical research. But here's the thing, in the United States, you can sign a contract and 23andMe provides one. You check a box that says, yes, use my information, or no, do not use it. If you check it no, they can't touch it, they can't use it. If you check yes, they anonymize it, and it's put in a pool, which George Church convinced me is a good thing because it's strictly used to do research on solving diseases. And the bigger pool you have of genetic information, of course, the more useful that is. So I viewed it as a public service, the reason I did it. Now, it does have a downside, as you said, and I'm actually I'm a demonstration of the downside. About a week ago, I found out that my great uncle had an illegitimate child because I voluntarily opened up, whenever I see a relative match, you can elect to allow that person contact with you. And this person has a last name that's in no way similar to mine and has the same genes. So when I contacted her, she said, well, my uncle was adopted, and I'm her second cousin. So, ergo, I have an illegitimate uncle. And I'm sure that my family would be very upset if they heard about this, so I haven't told anybody. You're not sworn to secrecy.
Well, this will go on YouTube.
Well, my uncle's too old to watch this anyway, so... So anyway, there's the upside and the downside demonstrated. But in the United States, I just want to correct something legally. They don't automatically get your genetic information. You have to sign something to give that away, and they guarantee an anonymity of that information. If they screw up on that, I can sue them for a lot of money, which would make me very happy. So I'm not really worried. It's not, unlike Germany, it's not a misdemeanor. Okay, so that's it with that.
Again, we have privacy policies changing all the time. Like most of us don't notice when Google or Facebook or other companies change privacy policies, which would be the same with insurance companies sometimes or with other such issues. Again, I think this is a proof of how these questions are so far beyond the current ontologies of law, of legal systems, of regulations, that they're just happening in these territories which are unregulated. Going very quickly. But I'm interested also in proposing a reflection on how, okay, we have big gene data, we have, let's say, genetic privacy issues, but then, as we know, with the emergent discipline of epigenetics, which is how genes express themselves according to an environment and a relation to that environment and so on. Okay, one could say, oh, we wouldn't have enough with the genetic data. We would need to have epigenetic data to see how genes might express themselves. Well, that's precisely what we get through big data. We get how people are living, what people are doing. So epigenetic privacy is the whole other part of the story that we are already getting. So we have the whole picture. We have genetic privacy and epigenetic privacy being absolutely violated in every frontier, okay, it's...
So if nobody else has a question, I have something to talk about with Ivan and Stefan's presentation put together. So it strikes me that Stefan and Ivan's presentations merge in a way. If I understood correctly, Ivan, your presentation was complex, so what I think I got out of it was that the idea of an ecology of technology, humanity, and the world is such that technology, or sort of the human, Merleau-Ponty's idea that the human is constituted by embodiment and sensation, and that technology in a circular fashion creates us as we create it, forms an ecological circular ontology, which would indicate that, and Stefan's saying something similar that would indicate that, and his prescriptions are such that they indicate that if we embrace technology and use it in our own way, that provides a possible way through rather than resisting technology, which, to quote the Borg, seems futile. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, what I basically want to say is, and I think this is in line with Stefan, is that this co-emergence I was thinking about does imply that we do not need... Sure, go.
You want Stefan to see you?
So it implies that there is no priority, neither of the human nor of the technology, but what is at the core of this co-emergence is that we need to know what we are dealing with, in the sense that we are interacting with the technology. So what we are doing in the park yesterday, for example, that we really engage with environments and always want to understand how the technological environments react to us, because we make them so complex that they are like living beings. We always need an account of phenomenality. That's the basic point I'm making, so we can't cancel that out. I would have another question for Stefan. Stefan, you're hearing me, right? You were always saying, or phrasing it like this, we give away data. And I was thinking to myself, is it really the feeling of giving away something, in the sense that if I give away something, I have to pose a value on my data. But the data we are talking about usually only have a value if they are shared. The big question is with whom we are sharing. So if we post our emotions on Facebook, then expressing of emotions is extremely vital to us, because nobody would understand what we are if we weren't expressing ourselves. So this information is not something that has a value on its own, only for me. It has only a value if we share it with our with other humans or whatever there is we can share with. So the problem is how can we get a grip on what is the bad thing about the sharing. So I think in the medicine, in the insurance companies, it's pretty obvious. But going to Facebook and social media is not that obvious how these data are used. But the thing is, I think the fascination why we don't have this feeling of we aren't afraid of this media is because we are, as humans, we always want to share. So the problem is, what do you mean by giving away something that has not a value maybe in itself for us?
The problem I can see all the advantages related to it, and I've tried to stress them. I sort of briefly talked about them. However, the worry I have is especially, with the digitalization, all of the various data. Once what you put on Facebook, what Google is scanning the content of all of your emails. It's not a person, obviously. It's an artificial intelligence which manages to scan all the your emails associated with a certain IP address, maybe even with you individualized with you as a person. Thereby, it is able to recreate a whole description of your psychological personality. And by having the data you put in the what you're searching for, the content of your emails, the content of what you enter in Facebook. And secondly, this is the psychological side of who you are. Then on the other hand, the physiological side, your health issues, and that comes in, and we give it away by means of the fitness apps, by means of biometrical data. And the third issue was all of our movements, where we are, where we are in Europe, where we are outside of Europe, and when we are in these places, which utterings we've made. It can all be combined because it's all being digitalized, and it all flows around around in the internet and via these nodal points. And there are certain nodal points. As I said, the biggest one is in Frankfurt, and hackers. And none of these points is entirely safe. If there's someone particularly interested in your information, it is possible to get psychological data, physiological data, where you are at what time, and combining them, and they will find something, and they will find something which goes against either which has you being sued, being sentenced, which goes against political correctness, which could be useful for political debate, because this data being publicly available, once it's digitalized, the data is potentially publicly available, and a good hacker is able to access their data. And so, the people have something against you, because what you're doing, with respect to a certain excellent hacker, you are basically the prisoner in their internet panopticon. And so whatever, you need to think about what you're doing, because if someone really wants to get you, it is possible for a good hacker to do so. And to put it in public, and then to have something, either an argument in a certain public discussion, maybe even respect to legal challenges. Maybe if you want to immigrate into another country, and it can, or maybe just by entering or getting out a new insurance, and so. And once you realize this permanent surveillance in all respects of who you are, you start self-disciplining yourself, and that's exactly what Foucault has described. And therefore, and that's basically the challenge I'm trying to address. And my final worries, my final suggestions were the ones: how can we deal with it? And none of it. I mean, freedom is one way. It's not a perfect solution. Anonymity is helpful, because there's always a fight between the various interest groups, and the ones who are trying to get you and the ones who are trying to protect the type of privacy. And thirdly, and that's the most efficient one, creating self-contradictory information chaos. And that's the only way of, and once a computer has A and minus A associated to certain qualities you're sharing, and then the computer, artificial intelligence, it will be much more difficult to make something out of that. And that's why, how can this be realized? Well, that's another technical challenge. Which can be dealt with, and one would have to talk to computer scientists how this can be done best. And for example, some people go out into public and have their faces painted in a specific ways, right? Because once you have your face is painted, the surveillance cameras can no longer detect your face. That's not a proper solution for all of it, but that shows sort of ways of finding a way of creating chaos, and amorphous becomes. And I think it is very important not to continue feeling like being in a panoptic internet prison.
Yeah, may I just comment? I think it's important to notice that most of the data we give out unconsciously, without knowing it all. And that's partly because I sometimes speak of big data as the hyper-cyber, this meta-body as being a new super-organism or something, or maybe it's not even an organism. But it's something of which we are becoming aggregates. Just like a billion years ago, the bacteria became aggregated into a multicellular organism. Lynn Margulis and Dorian Sagan also speak about this idea that we are becoming aggregates of a global superorganism or metabody. Now, the difference between bacteria and this hypercyber is that hypercyber is imposing a kind of both immanent and transcendent ontology, which means capitalizing, capturing, whereby even capitalism, I think, is now at the service of this novel form of life. It's a new form of life, I mean life form, which is emerging with big data. I think that's the new ontological term that I think we are living now at the moment. But anyway, I think that following Stefan, I absolutely agree, but I even take it further in terms of the radical pluralism of politics that we need to put forward, which means I think it's okay to disconnect. We need to disconnect and to, of course, in Metaverse it's not just about disconnection, it's about reinventing technology in a creative manner, because the dominant paradigm is just, I sometimes call it a cosmic anomaly. It's this weirdness of this dominant evolution that started, that has some non-linear history with some elements in Greece, some elements in the Renaissance, also related to the history of empires, I think, of totalizing formations. Now, around that, many other things have been happening, and we can enact and mobilize many different things that are different, quite different from that dominant reductive paradigm of control, of preemption and prediction. So, I mean, lots of things could be brainstormed. Like sometimes I've spoken, maybe we could demand the right not to be digitalized as a fundamental human or meta-human right, for example. Because in the future it will probably be obligatory to have chips implanted in you, just like it's obligatory to have a DNA, identity card. Or, for example, to have us recognized as Facebook workers and be paid a salary, because we are giving out this data to Facebook that will be having, an infinite potential, benefits for them. Or to just declare illegal to have corporations like Facebook develop networks which are completely opaque, which are of course not open source. Maybe all software would have to be obligatory open source in every country in the world. I mean, there are endless questions that we could put on the table that would be better polemic sometimes, but that are rather basic on the other hand, like why are they not being asked all the time? For example, the issue of cryptography and open source, the necessity, if something is not open source, you cannot ever know what the corporation is telling you. Like Apple. Apple tells you that they guard your data, but we don't know because it's not open source. Who knows what Apple is doing with your data, for instance? And the issue of being creative about reinventing the whole perceptual apparatus of the technology and so on and so forth, it's not just about escaping control, it's about the sheer creativity of our lives. That's why it's so interesting to think about illegible affects. Illegible affects are the emergent affects that we can enact and produce to have more interesting lives, simply. So I think all of these layers and many, many, many more need to be taken into account. We can just produce one response, and I suggest that we continue brainstorming or any crazy possibility that comes into our bodies throughout the day as to potential responses to that. Yeah. So, any questions before we make the lunch pause? There's something coming from Skype. I have a question for you, Yvonne, if possible. Event without camera, that is fine, and for Stefan as well. Otherwise, you can incorporate. Okay, yeah, Federica, please go ahead. Are you there?
Hi. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Hi, everyone. I just have a big question for Yvonne and one big question for Stefan. Thank you both for fascinating interventions. They're both very, very thought-provoking. The one I have for Yvonne is, if I got it right, your intervention was very complex, but I think you're suggesting a technogenesis of consciousness, somehow, among other things. And I was wondering if you had thought about the possibility of a technogenesis of theory, even, if you think that maybe theory emerges, co-emerges with technology, and how it happens with big data, and the regime of big data. And for Stefan, I was thinking also this kind of concept of a co-emergence of ethics and data. So I think maybe I was wondering what you think about this idea that, especially connected to the question that you have just been asked a moment ago, that maybe ethics needs to be incorporated very closely in data, like at the point of generation of data, or at the point of construction of data, because not all information holds the same values for everyone. And so I was thinking, what do you think about that? And also what do you think about incorporating ethical aspects in algorithms? And maybe even if you think that there is a universal solution, possibly for issues like bioprivacy, or if you think there is no actually universal solution, universal principle, which is a question about.
Sorry, I think we need some things are not well heard here because of the connection. Maybe you need to go on to have some repetition.
I think that's only 50%.
Okay, so Yvonne says we understood, and I also understood only 50%. Could you try to rephrase just very slowly the core aspects? Because the connection is not so good. So just rephrase very shortly the core of the questions.
Do I answer it? Yeah, I would think.
Yeah?
What about she types?
She
types
or you could maybe type it if you want, or just repeat it very, very slowly.
Concisely.
I think she's getting lost.
I don't have her.
Yeah.
Hello, Federica?
What about it?
Hi, yes, I'm trying.
Okay.
So, for Yvonne, I was asking if she thinks that theory also has a technogenesis. If theory also develops only through technology.
If theory is also a technogenesis that develops also through technology, theory.
Maybe give me a minute to think about it and.
Okay, she wants a minute to think about it. Okay, and now the other question.
I understood.
So, and now the other question for Stefan. Sorry, there was another question for you. Wait. Federica.
Federica? Oh.
Yes?
There is Stefan, there is another question for you, I think. Federica, can you do the other question again?
Okay.
No, I've understood the question. I mean, I've understood your question. Yeah?
Okay.
No, yes, I mean, the challenge sort of to develop ethical algorithms that's already been sort of considered, in particular with automated cars. I mean, automated cars were being driven by algorithms, and they eventually, I mean, so far as I know, they haven't caused any car accidents so far. However, eventually they will come into a situation where, well, they will have to decide if they go to there's only the decision of moving, you know, the steering wheel to the left or to the right. No other option is given. If they move it to the left, they will kill a young boy. If they move it to the right, they will kill an elderly lady. So in both cases, one person will be killed. And so the car is going to speed that there's no other option possible. And obviously this is so ethical algorithms will become necessary, for example, in the case of steering a car. But then again, what basis? I mean, who will make such a decision? It's but I guess it will be necessary to have a reflection on including algorithms within such systems, in that case of automated cars, of them being included. It will be, I mean, concerning the big data, machine data, typology data issue, it's more problematic, because here it is an issue not of what the internet or what the digital data does or what the structure does, but of what could happen to you. In that case, I mean, because an ethical algorithm would have to censor what into the system, and that's more complicated. So yeah, the issue of ethical algorithms will arise or have arisen already with respect to cars, but with respect to the internet panopticon, I think it will be less important. I don't yet see how it could be relevant.
Sorry,
Thank you.
Okay, so this was the question. I hadn't understood it. But I think this is, I mean, drones are also raising the problem of ethical algorithms. But funnily enough, not companion robots so far, I think. But this is precisely the questions we are raising in Metabody raise the crucial issue of whether, first of all, can there be ethical algorithms, or does ethics relate to an embodied experience of the world? That would be one basic question I would ask. Whether ethics at all can be just simulated in an algorithm. Secondly, that it seems that the ethical questions only come about so far when killing someone is at stake, with a drone or with a car. But what about the ethics of your pet companion, a companion robot, for example? Well, that's another huge issue, which I think does relate to the internet panopticon and I mean, the ethics of any algorithm should be a fundamental question, which is absolutely absent. Like the internet panopticon is made of trillions of algorithms. Big data is about a metabody of trillions of algorithms, and none of them are being, almost none of them are being under ethical concern so far. Well, do you already have to start? Yeah.
So, hi Federica. Okay, that was a kind of tricky question. I would say that theory is in itself a technique, and this is how it always is to be regarded as technogenetic. But the other more interesting point from my view is the technology itself is a form of theory, because technology has something abstract about it, in the sense that it is created for a certain aim, and this incorporating a perspective is a form of theory. That's why I think technology is a kind of theory, a performative theory in a way. And I think this point gets interesting when technology is not so clear-cut in the sense of what we want to do with it. But as you, for example, when you write about software and how software gets more alike to living beings, I think when this frontier is blurred of what one technology is for what, but when we create technology that is kind of alive, as we also had this in the project here, then it gets interesting how this theoretical aspect of theory, of technology, excuse me, tends towards being alive and tends towards not just being theoretical in the sense that it has a clear-cut perspective. Life is always about perspective, but not that clear-cut as we usually would conceptualize it.
Ivan, I think I totally agree with you. Thank you.
Regarding, Stefan brought up the question of ethical algorithms. That's what I'm working on. That's what my talk was about, or at least in part. And you mentioned what's famously known as the trolley car dilemma in philosophy, of if you have a trolley car speeding down a hill and you have a choice to pull a lever to save one person and kill 10, how do you make the decision? And two people are working on that in the United States, at least two, Patrick Lynn and Wendell Wallach, both of whom are part of the Institute for Ethics and Emerging Technology. And then there's a guy at Georgia Tech that's working on algorithmizing ethics, and that's the model I use today in my talk, which is to take a rules-based form of philosophy like Kantian deontology and making it into a decision tree that can easily be worked by an algorithm. The problem with that, as is admitted by all the people working on this, is that emotion is necessary for human ethics, because you have to feel guilty, for instance, to want to not do something that's going to hurt somebody. So this is an issue. How do you build guilt into an algorithm? And that, too, is at the beginning of being done. The Japanese corporation just released about 2 months ago a companion android called Pepper, and it can read emotions in a human being through its visual sensors and through its auditory sensors, and tell your emotional state, and then respond in an emotional way. So that kind of algorithm that allows a robot to do that is the first step in developing an algorithm that can feel guilt and therefore be used as an ethical element in a robot. So this is where things stand now. So what I'm saying is there's a very real possibility, Jaime, that the scientists that are working on these things are going to have an ethical algorithm, whether we like it or not. I'm not so high on this idea, but because it's in corporate interests and military interests to develop an ethical system of algorithms. And where do we go from there? I don't know.
If an algorithm, you say, would feel, would it be a feeling or a simulation of a feeling? Or maybe even our feelings have already simulations? And I would like to throw, before we go to lunch, just a question in the air, because we're assuming that maybe how to do ethical algorithms. I will throw the question in the air about are algorithms per se unethical? In terms of them assuming a disembodied paradigm of formalization. Can an algorithm become an embodied process, or is big data already becoming a meta-body of such complexity that algorithms are going to be embodied in the big data body? For me, a disembodied algorithm would be unethical from its roots, down to its roots. So, and then any emotion would be just a simulation. Any affect would be just a reproduction of a pre-existing, and that is itself a nihilistic kind of approach that is creating emergence. So I throw in the air, are algorithms per se unethical or not? Or so, do you want to respond, Stefan, or we go for lunch? What do you?
That's a very good question.
What?
No, Kevin. I need to think about it. Kevin, and please send me your paper. I would love to read that. That sounds very, very fascinating.
Okay.
So it's been a pleasure being with you. Enjoy the lunch. I'm looking forward to seeing you, Yvonne and Jaime, in Seoul very soon. And have a wonderful conference. I wish I could have been there with you.
Great, thank you.